Hey everyone, thanks for joining. I just noticed a bunch of people are already in, so hey. Hey everybody, good morning, good afternoon, welcome in. We got a few more minutes before we'll get started.
Good afternoon.
I hope everybody's having a great Thursday. I'm out in Los Angeles and we're supposed to be getting some rain today, which is like when it snows anyplace else in the country. People are just freaking out. Hey Danette. Hey, is it Celine? Jashoba, thank you. I'm not planning to go anyplace. Hey, Miss Corrine. Ah, Janice, a fellow LA person as well. I love it. My roommate is out. She had an 8 a.m. golfing session this morning. She was worried she was going to get wet. I'm like, well, if you love the sport, it is what it is. All right, we're going to get started pretty much right at the top of the hour today. This presentation is running. Oh, hey, Sonia, fellow LA person too. I love it. This presentation's a little bit longer than I usually do, so I want to make sure we get some time in for questions. So I'm going to kick things off here. Oh, Valerie's in DC. I heard a potential snowmageddon. I have family back in Maryland, and my sister was telling me a little bit about it. It's like, okay, this is one of the reasons I live in Los Angeles. 21 inches of snow is not my idea of a good time. Yeah. All right. Cool. Well, I hope everybody's having a great day. It is straight up 11 a.m. my time. Hey, James. So I'm going to go ahead and kick things off. If we have some extra time, we'll have some Q&A at the end. If you do have questions along the way, please feel free to put them in the chat. I'm going to do my best to keep an eye on the chat. If I'm missing something, my gal pal Dadrian is going to step in and help keep me on track. All right. Thank you so much for being here today. I see a number of familiar faces, and I also see a lot of new faces as well. If this is your first time with the Learning Tube, can you just put a 1 in the chat so we can all welcome you? This is one of my favorite communities. Oh, Celine, hi, welcome. Look, lots of newbies. I love it. You guys are in an amazing place because the Learning Tube has all kinds of information. I learn stuff every single time I'm on here. So I'm just going to dive right in. I find it really hard to be on any screen these days without being absolutely bombarded by ads. Whether it's LinkedIn or social media, playing games on my phone, or even watching TV. I mean, the ads and marketing is everywhere. And every now and again, there's a commercial that makes me stop. It used to usually be like, the Budweiser commercials with the Clydesdales and the dog and stuff like that. Lately, I have to say that Amazon has been really getting good at this just before the holidays with their heartfelt commercials that I want to just kind of like watch, right? So, what's the difference? Why do some messages make us stop while seemingly thousands of others just blur past us? This is what we're going to dig into today. So, in an environment where our customer is drowning in marketing messages, how do you create that moment where they just stop and say, oh, this is for me? How do you speak directly to that ideal customer in ways that cuts through all of the noise that they're trying to filter through? This is what we're going to dig into. You guys ready to get started? Gonna get a ready in the chat. Oh, I see some thumbs up. Thank you for that, Lee. All right, thank you. All right, let's go. So, here we go. That's the slide I'm looking for. So I'm going to take a quick minute and just talk to you about why this presentation today feels extra special to me and why I'm so excited to be here with the Learning Tube community. In August of 2024, I did my very first speaking engagement as a newly certified AI consultant. I was part of the AI Insight Summit, and I was completely terrified. I know there's an Insight Summit coming up next week, so you all are going to be great. Just lean into it and go. Now, that presentation was part of my CPD capstone project, and I really struggled to find a topic that I thought was going to be relevant to a broad audience. Eventually, I chose to focus on customer avatars. Okay, those are also known as customer personas. Because after more than 25 years in sales, as well as customer success, which is all about retention and growth, I knew how critical it is to really understand your customer. Then in September, just a few weeks after my AI summit, Laurette Little reached out to me and gave me an opportunity to present here at the Learning Tube. And I was like, wait, me? You want me to present? She's like, yeah, just expand your talk. And I'm like, yeah, small thing. But I decided I was going to embrace the moment, and I'm so glad I did. That was my debut with this community, and I went through my avatar framework, and I actually created an avatar live using an audience member's product. I think it was a journal. Everybody was so welcoming and they were so engaged, and the questions that were asked in the chat were really thoughtful, and that feedback really pushed me to think deeper about this work. My screen is in presenter mode. You guys seeing the screen okay? Okay, perfect. All right, so here we are in January 2026, okay? I'm coming back to you with something that I'm super excited about, and you are seeing it first before anybody else, because this community is where it all started for me as an AI consultant. So thank you for being here, and I'm gonna keep moving. So let's talk about what all of our customers are dealing with every single day. I did some research, and it shows that the average person is exposed to over 360 marketing messages every single day. That seemed like too much for me, but I saw crazy numbers, but this one was backed up with research. I mean, think about that. 360 messages coming at you from every direction. So you're looking at social media feeds, email inboxes, phone alerts, websites that I visit, streaming services, podcasts. It's just everyday life. I mean, marketing is everywhere. And here's the thing, out of those 360 messages, they only actually notice about 150. Okay, their brain is literally filtering out the rest to try and survive the onslaught. And they become experts at ignoring marketing. And I count myself in this as well. And when we look specifically at social media, the stats get even more brutal. You have 1 to 3 seconds to stop somebody's scroll. 1 to 3 seconds, that's it. If your message doesn't immediately resonate in that moment, they are gone. So if the result is like 99.9% of marketing that ends up being completely invisible, your customer is constantly filtering, ignoring, and scrolling past messages all day long. So how do you make your message, how do you make sure that that message that you're trying to communicate is that 0.1% that actually breaks through? Any ideas? We're going to go deep on this for a minute. So what actually happens when you don't truly know your customer? And I know for somebody who started a new business, it's taken me a minute to really kind of hone in on who my ideal customer is. So let me walk you through some of the real costs that you're potentially going to run into if you don't know that customer. Number one, you have wasted ad spend. Okay, when you're trying to talk to everyone, you end up reaching no one effectively, and you're spending money on ads that hit the wrong people at the wrong time with the wrong message. Think of it as like throwing darts blindfolded. You have content that falls flat. I don't know about you, but it takes me forever to get content put together and correct. And you create what you think is great content, whether it's blog posts, social media, LinkedIn, emails, and you get crickets. And it's because the message isn't resonating and it's not speaking to their actual pain points or desires. There's guessing games. There's plenty of that going on, right? If you're playing hit or miss with your messaging strategy, should we emphasize this feature or maybe this benefit or maybe try this angle? It kind of becomes trial and error instead of strategy. This is where I've been for far too long. And then there's price competition, right? This is the worst part. When you can't articulate your unique value in a way that resonates meaningfully, then you're forced to get into competing on price, and typically that is a race straight to the bottom. Okay? Because if customers don't understand why you're different, the only thing left to compare is cost. And then finally, there are missed opportunities, right? Customers who are actually looking for exactly what you offer, they can't find you because your message isn't speaking their language and they scroll right on past. Now, this is the real cost of not knowing your customer, but I have some ways that I can help you with this. So here's a shift that's happened. And I think we all probably feel this as consumers ourselves. Customers don't want to be marketed to anymore. They really want to be seen as something other than just a demographic data point. Female 35 to 44, household of 75,000, right? It's not a person, it's a statistic. Customers want to be understood. They want to feel like you get them. You understand their specific challenges, their frustrations, what keeps them up at night, what they're trying to achieve, and they want marketing that feels like you're speaking directly to them, not to a crowd of thousands of people who vaguely fit that demographic profile. In today's environment, if your marketing is generic, it could apply to anyone and it becomes invisible. It disappears into that 99.9% of messages that get filtered. But when you truly understand your customer, when you speak directly to their experience, that is when you break through. And that's when they stop and they pay attention. I'm going to show you what that looks like. Anybody ever hear of Harley Davidson? I hope so. So I'm talking about Harley Davidson of New York City. Okay, this was a dealership there. And of course, this is an extremely recognizable brand, probably one of the most recognizable in the world. They have a legendary customer base, and they've been building motorcycles for over 120 years. They really thought they knew their customers inside and out. But this particular dealership was having kind of a slow quarter, and they were trying to figure out ways where they could pick up the pace, right? So they decided to use AI-powered marketing to truly understand and target their ideal customer avatar at a much deeper level. Now, they used an enterprise platform called Albert, and it analyzed their customer data and the buyer behavior to create incredibly precise targeting. And here's what they experienced in just 3 weeks after they deployed the revised marketing strategy. Almost a 3,000% increase in sales leads. I mean, nearly 3,000% increase in qualified people saying, yes, I want to talk to you about buying a Harley. That's nuts. They had 40% of those leads were high quality lookalikes. Okay, so AI found people who looked just like their best customers. Same behaviors, same interests, same buying patterns. They had a 566% increase in website visits, like 5.5 times more people coming to check them out. But the biggest thing for me, they spent 92% less money to acquire each of these new leads. Think about that for a second. And of course, they had a massive increase in click-through rate on their Facebook ads, more than double the engagement. Now, all of this happened because they got serious about truly understanding their ideal customer at a deep level, and they were speaking directly to that person. This is the power of knowing your customer, and I'm not guaranteeing any of these stats, but I'm showing you what's possible. Okay, so let me tell you a little bit about my journey and why I'm so passionate about this particular work. Now, I spent over 25 years in customer success and sales, primarily the last 10 years or so in software as a service world. Now, I helped scale some companies from 6 million to 100 million in revenue. And at one point, I had a team that achieved a 99.7% renewal rate, which is unheard of in SaaS. And we did that by figuring out what the customers needed, not what we needed to do to get another sale. And during this 25 years, I've learned a few things about what makes customers buy, what makes them stay, and what makes them raving fans. In 2024, I had a career pivot. I got laid off. It took me a few months to figure it out, but eventually I got an opportunity to check out Alicia and Lorette's AI certification program for consultants. I got certified as an AI consultant and finished my certification in August of 2024, launched AI Edge Consulting, that's my company, and decided to take everything that I've learned during my career and apply it to helping businesses leverage AI. Now, since I have gotten my certification, I've had the privilege of working with incredible organizations like Singapore Airlines, the U.S. Department of Veteran Affairs. I've presented to several women president organization chapters, some young president organization chapters, and I just recently closed a major contract with the Queen's Chamber of Commerce in New York. It's been amazing, and I learned something from every single customer and every single presentation that I do. Now, through all of this, I have one core mission. My goal is to help businesses leverage AI without losing their human touch. Because at the end of the day, business is still about people connecting with people. All right, you ready to talk about some avatars? Can I get a 1 in the chat? You guys doing all right out there? I know this is a lot of information. Okay, thank you. Okay, so this is where things really began to click for me. I was helping a marketing agency with a new client. She was an OB/GYN who was launching a conscious pregnancy product. And when we sat down to talk about her ideal customer, she wasn't really sure how to describe it. And we focused on just pregnant women, of course, which would be her primary market. Now, when I delivered her ideal customer persona, her comment was, "Wow, you really nailed it." And the persona that I presented was an earlier version of what I'm going to share with you all today. And in that moment, she also realized something important. She didn't have just one customer. She was like, as I'm thinking about this, I have at least 6 completely different customer segments, and each one needed to have a different approach in order to get the right avatar. So one was pregnant women, right? Obviously the primary end users of the product. These are people who would actually be using it during their pregnancy journey. OB/GYNs would be the medical professionals who could be recommending the products to their patients. They care about evidence-based solutions as well as patient outcomes. Then we have doulas. These are birth support specialists who guide women through pregnancy and delivery, and they're all about holistic, empowering experiences. Midwives are pregnancy providers who often work in home birth settings or birth centers, and they value natural approaches. So each of these are going to be a little bit different. There are naturopathic doctors that she worked with. Specifically, she was interested in acupuncturists. Now, this is holistic health practitioners who integrate natural medicine and traditional care. And then last but not least, she wanted to also target fertility specialists. These are preconception advisors working with women who are trying to get pregnant. Each of these avatars took me probably a little more than an hour to create, edit, fine tune. And that was when I had my first kind of aha moment that this process is a pain to do manually, but it's also too valuable to keep it locked away in consulting. And this is something that I need to be sharing with my clients and more people. So this is why we're talking today. So let's talk about what a customer avatar is, because it's much more than basic demographics. So when you think avatar, I don't know about you guys, but first thing I think of is the blue people in the James Cameron movies, but that's not what we're talking about here. A customer avatar is also called a customer persona or a buyer persona. It is a detailed research-backed profile of your ideal customer. And it goes way beyond just knowing their age, location, and their income. So let's talk about who they are. Of course, we always start with demographics and psychographics, right? The age, location, income, education level. But it's important to dig into their values, their lifestyle patterns, what they believe in, and how they see themselves. Now, this also leads to pain points and challenges, like what keeps them up at night? What are they struggling with on a daily basis? What frustrates them? What problem are they trying to solve that they can't quite figure out? What are their decision drivers? Like what actually motivates them to make a purchase? Is it fear of missing out? Is it a desire for status? Is it a need for security? Or maybe what are the underlying motivations that actually influence their buying decisions and their aspirations? Oh, Ashley, I'm glad to hear it. Thank you. And then there's content preferences, right? Where do they hang out online? I mean, how do they consume their information? Are they podcast listeners? Do they read long form articles, or do they prefer quick social media posts? Do they watch YouTube tutorials, or are they like all about the written guides? And then, of course, it's all about their language. How do they talk about their problems? What words and phrases do they use? This is pretty critical because if you want to reach them, you need to speak in words that resonate with how they actually think and talk. Now, when you understand all five of these elements, you can create marketing that feels like you're reading their mind and talking directly to them. Okay, here's my next question. Anybody know who Eugene Schwartz is? It's an oldie but a goodie. Okay, a bunch of no's. I didn't know about it either. I actually learned about it as part of this process. Okay, there's a few people. Great. Awesome. All right, so Eugene Schwartz is somebody who changed everything that I understand about customer psychology and marketing. He stands out, hands down, as the greatest copywriter of all time. He is truly the GOAT. Okay. Now, his track record, he has an 85% win rate. Think about that for a second. 85% of his advertising campaigns were successful. Now, I get he was doing this back in the 60s when things were simpler, but let me put that in perspective using a baseball term because it's impressive no matter what. I'm guessing most people have heard of Babe Ruth, I hope. Babe Ruth is considered one of the greatest baseball players of all time. He had a 342 career batting average. He had 714 home runs and one of the highest career slugging percentages in Major League Baseball history. He's legendary. Now, if we translate Eugene Schwartz's winning ad rate into the batting average, he would have had an 850 batting average in advertising. It's nuts. I mean, it's kind of impossible. In 1966, he wrote a book called Breakthrough Advertising. It's over 60 years old, and what's kind of crazy, you can still buy his book today as long as you're willing to spend at least $100. I have seen some original copies selling for over $1,000, and I looked on Amazon, and there's a used copy there for $500. Every legendary copywriter who came after him studied his book. I don't know why the book isn't in print anymore, but there's a reason somewhere. But here's the core insight that he shared that changed the game for me. He said, you don't create desire in your customer. You channel their existing desire toward your product. Now, it's a subtle difference, but it's also a huge difference. So if you think about that, you know what? That's a good question. What's the standard in ads for success rates? I know it's not 85%. And I think at this point it's probably super segmented. Scott, that's an excellent question. That's a really good question for perplexity. I don't know the answer on that one. All right, so think about that. You're not trying to convince somebody to want something that they don't already want, right? You're identifying what they already deeply desire, and you're showing them how your solution helps them get it. So that's the foundation of everything that we're going to be talking about. And his frameworks, the Schwartz frameworks, have been baked into my avatar process from day one, even when I was first getting started on this process almost 2 years ago. So what did Eugene Schwartz discover that made him so successful? Well, it starts with 5 core principles that successful marketing depends on, and this is true today. First, he said that buyers don't think in features and specs, they think in images and stories. And if you think about the ads that you remember and you like, there's a story there, or there's some kind of image that's like, you think Budweiser, I don't see the bottle of beer, I see the Clydesdales, right? So they're imagining themselves using your product, experiencing the transformation. And when somebody's thinking about a car, they might be thinking, hey, 180 horsepower engine with dual overhead cams. But they also are probably imagining themselves driving down the open road with the windows down, sun shining, music going, right? They're in that visual experience there. So focus on results is another one, okay? You need to emphasize what your product does, not what it is. People don't care if you have an AI-powered analytics, with machine learning algorithms. What they care about is if they're able to make better decisions in half the time, or, focus on the outcome, not the mechanism itself. And then there's hidden desires. Okay, so this is where the rubber really meets the road. You need to tap into what they won't say out loud, but they deeply want. Someone buying a luxury watch is buying a timepiece, yes, but what they really want is to feel successful, admired, like they've made it, but they're not going to necessarily say that out loud. So your marketing needs to speak to that hidden desire. And then you find a way to channel that desire. Remember, you're not creating this, you're directing their existing desire toward your solution. The desire is there. Your job is to show them how your product helps them fulfill it. And then last is to match their awareness. And this is critical. There's different stages of customer awareness that require completely different messages. Okay, someone who doesn't even know that they have a problem needs a different approach than someone who's actively comparing solutions for a problem that they have. Now, when you apply all 5 of these principles together, you create marketing that feels like you are reading their mind. Let's keep going. Is this making sense? Oh, Teresa put in 50% is I think that's the ad success rate. Okay, awesome. All right. So we're going to keep moving here. There are 5 stages that Schwartz identified. He got really strategic. And he discovered that the markets naturally evolve through 5 stages of sophistication. And your market stage really determines what messages will work at what time. Let me walk you through this. Stage 1 is awareness, right? At this point, your message is, hey, this product exists. Stage 1 is for a brand new category of product. Okay, nobody ever heard of it before. Think about the first smartphone, think about, an iPod or your first electric cars, or pretty much any crazy AI tool that you've never heard of before, right? Your message at this stage is simply making people aware that this amazing new solution exists. Now, the second stage is features. Okay, so at this point, you're focusing on, hey, look what it can do. Competition has entered the market. Companies are competing on features. So you get this, the features could be, hey, we have 10 speeds, we have 12 speeds, we have a touch screen. It's all about the capabilities of the product, right? Stage 3 is about the benefits. Sure, I can go back one slide. Did you just want to grab a screenshot? I'll go back really quick. You got it? Okay, and I'm going to give you guys a takeaway at the end that goes through all of the Schwartz framework, so you'll have some additional things there. All right, so we did benefits, right? Here's what's for you. Or benefits is stage 3. And here's what this means for you. That is the message, right? The market is maturing. Customers are getting smarter. They're not satisfied hearing about features anymore because it's kind of crowded out there. They want to know what those features actually do for them. Does it save them 3 hours a week? Maybe it reduces the cost by 30%. Okay, so that's the benefits. Stage 4 is all about differentiation. Okay, at here, what you're trying to say is here's why we are different. The market is super crowded now. Everybody's talking about benefits, so you need to articulate why your solution is different from the others. So maybe it's something like, hey, we're the only ones that, or unlike other solutions, or fill in the blank. Last is stage 5. The market is completely saturated. Your message now is here's what this feels like, and it is all about experience. So now you're selling the experience, like the feeling, the transformation. The company that came to mind for me is Apple. Yes, they sell technology and they have a lot of specs that are amazing, but they've really been selling the experience, right? It's all about the look and feel and everything else. So here's one critical question. Do you know where your market is right now? Because if you're in stage 4, in a stage 4 market, and you're using stage 2 messaging, you're probably not going to connect with your customers, right? The message has to match your market's sophistication level too. And because he was a complicated, deep thinker, there is more. Okay. So he also talked about the market. We just talked about the market sophistication, but there's also a buyer awareness that's really important, like where your individual customer is in their particular journey. And where they are determines everything about how you need to message them. Okay, so there's 4 levels here. First level is unaware. They have no idea they have a problem yet. They might be experiencing some symptoms, but they haven't connected the dots. So if you're trying to sell them a solution at this stage, you'll probably lose them immediately. Your job here is to help them recognize that the problem exists. Then they move to problem aware stage. So now they know they have a problem, but they don't know what the solution is yet. They're frustrated, they're searching, why does this keep happening to me? Or, there's got to be a better way. Your messaging here needs to educate them about what types of solutions exist. Then they move to solution aware. So they know solutions exist and they're actively exploring their options. They're comparing different approaches. Okay, should I hire somebody? Should I use software? Should I do it myself? This is kind of where you need to position your solution against the alternatives and show why your approach works best for their situation. And finally, there's product aware. They know about your particular service or product. Maybe they're on your mailing list, or they're following you on social media. Maybe they saw an ad, right? Your job is to move them from awareness to action, to overcome objections, provide proof, and create some urgency so that they buy your product. And this is where a lot of people kind of miss the boat. They use the same message for everyone, but someone who's unaware needs completely different messaging than somebody who's product aware, right? So your message has to match their awareness level, where they actually are, rather than where you want them to be. Okay, does that make sense? Great. All right. So let's take a look at what this, I know this is a lot to try and visualize and kind of take in. So let's talk about what this could look like in practice with the same product. Let's talk about an automated customer persona solution, right? Great, Dio, I'm glad. But watch how the messaging is going to change completely based on where the customer is in their awareness journey. So if they're at the problem aware stage, okay, they're struggling to, where you're struggling to stand out in the market, crowded market, this person knows they have a problem. Their marketing isn't working and they are not standing out, but they don't know why yet or what the solution is. So we would lead with the problem they're experiencing. We're meeting them where they are, and we're not even really mentioning customer avatars or personas yet. We're just saying, hey, we see you're struggling. Let's talk about why. Now, if they're at the solution aware stage, so this would be maybe customer avatars versus demographic data, which actually works. So this person knows that understanding their customer is important, right? They figured that out. They've heard terms like customer avatars and demographic data, but they're trying to figure out which approach actually works. So we position ourselves as the guide who can help them make that decision for them, for their particular needs. We're educating them on the solution landscape, right? And then there's product aware. See how an automated solution compares to building avatars manually, right? So this person already knows automated avatar tools exist. And they might be thinking, well, why wouldn't I just do this myself with ChatGPT? So now you're speaking directly to that objection, right? We're showing the comparison and helping them see the value of our specific solution. Same product, 3 completely different messages, because the message has to match where they are and they're in their journey. Okay, so I'll show you how this process has evolved over the last year or so. So in August 2024, when I was preparing for the Insight Summit presentation, my avatar process was pretty basic. It had 5 or 6 prompts that I'd run through: demographics, psychographics, pain points, that kind of thing. And it worked. It was still taking me, close to an hour to put a true avatar together, to create it, edit it, fine tune it, to make sure it was really going to be accurate and useful, right? And then I landed that marketing project with the OBGYN. and, 6 avatars, I was still doing things manually. But I realized that I needed to go deeper. This particular client needed more than just who this person is and what do they care about. She really needed to know how to reach them, what to say, and where to find them. So I expanded the framework. And here we are today, January 2026. And now this process includes 10 comprehensive sections. The Schwartz stuff has been in there from day one, so that's still there, of course. But now I'm addressing the market sophistication analysis and buyer awareness levels that are built into this. I added SEO keywords, content hooks, messaging templates so that you're not just understanding your customer, you're really getting ready to use marketing assets. And I made sure that the avatars include diverse, contextually appropriate names so that they actually feel like real people. The first time I made a few avatars, this was just before I really knew what I was doing. Anybody that was going to be in a similar age bracket, it was always the same name. And I was like, okay. And they were very generic. Anyway, but I made sure the avatars, have contextually appropriate names so that they feel like real people. And then I validated all of this through my client work. But even with all of this additional depth and sophistication, the process now takes 10 minutes instead of an hour. And this is the power of automation combined with expertise. All right, so I'm going to walk you through this project in a little bit more detail because it really shows the power of having multiple defined avatars or customer personas. So as I mentioned, my client was the OBGYN. She was launching a conscious pregnancy product. And it was obviously for women, but it was also a product that needed to reach pregnant women through multiple channels and influencers. And she was trying to figure out how to market to all of these different audiences without having to just completely start over and do everything completely separately. Now, the challenge was understanding each segment deeply enough to speak to them effectively while maintaining a cohesive brand message. So the process that we went through was I created detailed avatars for all 6 segments, which I told you about before. And each avatar was built with a full 10-section analysis that I mentioned. And so it's not just who they are, but how they think, what they care about, and how to reach them. And then the deliverable for each of those 6 segments, she got that full 10-section analysis including their demographics and psychographics, their pain points and motivations, their content preferences, SEO keywords and content hooks, messaging recommendations with ready-to-use templates, and I even put together a day-in-the-life narrative so she could really, truly understand their experience and really see them as a 360 person. And when I delivered the results, when I delivered the avatars, she said, "Hey, you really nailed it." She is a woman of few words, so that was considered a good compliment. But here's what was cool about that. She now had a crystal clear customer understanding across all of her segments. She knew exactly how to talk to each group, what to emphasize, where to find them, and how to position her product for each audience. And this is the power of truly knowing your customer because you might have multiple personas. I know I do. So I know there's at least one person out there thinking, you know what? I can totally do this with ChatGPT or Claude or Gemini. Why wouldn't I just do it myself? You certainly can. I'm giving you a lot of the pieces, but let's be honest about what that looks like. So when I was doing this, it was taking me, like I said, 45 minutes to an hour of focused prompting. You need to know the right questions to ask in the right order because everything builds. You need to understand the Schwartz frameworks well enough to incorporate them, and you need to know what you're looking for. And then once ChatGPT gives you that output, you need to edit it, refine it for accuracy, context, format the document, make sure you didn't miss any critical insights. So 100% you can do it manually, but it's just going to take a little bit longer. Now, with an automated solution, you answer questions about your business in a guided form. Okay, it takes maybe just a few minutes. Everything is baked in, so you don't need to worry about understanding everything about the Schwartz frameworks, and you get professionally formatted output delivered to your email. Okay, and you get consistent, comprehensive results every time. The bottom line is this: 25 years of sales and customer success expertise are baked into this app that I'm going to share with you. If I were creating your avatar manually as a consulting project, trust me, I would charge between $300 and $500 per hour for this work because it's very detailed, very focused work. That's the market rate for the level of expertise that we're talking about. And I've taken all of this and I've packaged it into an automated solution. We're going to talk about that in just a minute. But first, let me show you what that transformation can actually look like. All right. The name of my app is the Customer Persona Studio. Now, before the studio, marketing can feel like throwing spaghetti at the wall and hoping something sticks. I'm not a marketer, and let me tell you, I've thrown plenty of spaghetti at the wall over the years. You're not really sure who you're talking to. You have this vague idea of business owners or busy moms or tech professionals, but you really don't know them. And spray and pray, exactly, Corrine. Your messaging is generic because you're trying to appeal to everyone. This is how I started. I was like, well, if I get out everyone, I'll catch somebody, right? But this means you're not really resonating with anybody, especially in today's market that is so fast and attention grabbing. And you're wasting budget on the wrong audiences because you're guessing who your ideal customer actually is. It's frustrating and it can be expensive. So I built this app to make avatar creation accessible for everybody. And I hope it will be a game changer for you like it has been for me. You have crystal clear customer understanding. You know exactly who you're talking to, not their demographics, but how they think, what motivates them, what keeps them up at night. Your messaging becomes targeted and resonates because you're speaking their language, addressing their specific pain points, you're tapping into their desires, and you have a content strategy with purpose. Okay, you know where to find them, what to say, and how to say it. And your marketing actually works because you're no longer guessing. You're operating from a place of knowledge. That's the shift from guessing to knowing, from throwing darts blindfolded to having a clear target. All right, you guys have done a great job of hanging in there with me. It's time for me to show you the app. All right, I'm going to go to my second screen and hopefully I can still hear me here. Okay, so this is the Customer Persona Studio. And when you first land on the page here, you'll see stop guessing who your ideal client is, start communicating with confidence. You can see what you'll discover. We have the, what keeps them up at night, how they make decisions, the exact language that resonates, and this day in the life narrative, which I'll show you on an actual avatar that's come out of it. If we scroll down, this is really the core problem we've been talking about. Traditional customer personas give you a vague sketch when you need a detailed photograph. The tool gives you a real person to reference with specific fears, desires, daily routines, and buying triggers. Okay. Then there's a little bit of social proof. Okay, so I have my testimonial from my OBGYN. I also included some feedback and testimonials I've gotten from some of my previous avatar trainings. So we have that, and then some of my speaker credentials. And then we'll get down to the meat of it. This is really what you'll receive. So I'll scroll down just a little bit more. So I've talked about the 10 comprehensive sections. So obviously demographics and psychographics. We go way beyond the age and location into values, lifestyle, and motivations. You get the Schwartz frameworks that we talked about. You get SEO keywords and content strategy. You get 10 primary keywords, 10 long tail keywords, and 10 content hooks. This section alone could save you hours of keyword research. First time I had to do keyword research, I was like, ah. We'll go into pain points, goals, messaging recommendations, all the language and positioning that you need. And then everything is delivered in one professional PDF. To generate the avatar has been taking typically 2 to 3 minutes. I say 3 to 5 minutes just because tech is tech. Now, if you want to see an actual example, this is a sample avatar that the app created for for one of my ideal clients. I know this is a little bit small, but this is who the avatar is itself. This is from section 6, which is content hooks. So you have one here. 3 AI tools every small business should implement first, and the 27 you can ignore. Now, I've also put in here why this particular hook is necessary or is something you should think about. So this one cuts through the overwhelming options with specific prioritization framework and clear reasoning for each recommendation. And then the day in the life is the last thing. It's section 10. And this is a walkthrough from when they first wake up in the morning until when they go to bed and what their day is like. And throughout that, you're going to see, you're going to have a chance to get to know that particular avatar. Okay, so that's a sample there. Now, when you go to create the actual avatar, there's 3 things that you need to answer. One is describe your business, product, or service. Okay, so I'm going to I have a prompt here. Now, one thing that I will tell you, AI, as you guys know, needs. So I'm pushing everybody a little bit. You have to have at least 200 characters minimum in order to put in your business description. If you just say, hey, I sell books or I sell journals, give the AI what it needs to give you a really, truly detailed, detailed avatar. Okay. So who do you help? That's the next one. So here's what I put in for mine. Whoops. Add. Here we go. I run AI Edge Consulting, a boutique AI consulting firm that helps small businesses, solopreneurs, and startups implement AI solutions without getting overwhelmed by technology. I focus on human-centered AI implementation that enhances operations, streamlines workflows, and drives growth while preserving personal touch that keeps businesses unique. My approach is warm and conversational, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so we have that. And that was actually copied in some of the first things anyway. And then the last thing is, what outcome do you help them achieve? My copying skills, I'm telling you, I've used a mouse before. All right, so I help them implement AI solutions that save time, increase efficiency, and drive growth while maintaining their authentic voice. And again, so you need at least 100 characters before the system is going to let you move on. You put in your email here. If you want to get on my newsletter list, you can click that. You need to agree to the terms of service. If you need to take a look, there is links to all of that. And then you click on continue to payment. Now, it's not going to do it because I didn't put in my email. Now, I'm not going to process a payment here, but consult. Be careful you put in the right one, because this email that you put in here is where it's going to deliver your PDF of your avatar. So if I continue to payment here, it's going to go to the next screen and it's going to ask me to put in my credit card. Now, this app is something that's known as an MVP, minimum viable product. I'm not at this point accepting PayPal and other things. Coming, but not today. So it is credit card only right now. All right, so I am not going to process this, but I actually have a video queued up about what happens once the payment is complete. So this is just a couple of minutes. I'm going to play this. Let me know, put a thumbs up or put a 1 in the chat if you can actually hear this when it plays. Okay, so you'll receive your complete avatar. Now, what you see here while you're waiting, okay, usually you'll see a progress bar at the top here. Typically it takes 2 to 3 minutes for the avatar to come. So you can see what's happening on this page. So here are some things you can do with the avatar information that you're getting. You can use 10 content hooks to write LinkedIn posts this week, or turn these hooks into blog titles. You could create an email subject lines from your hooks. You could write social media captions. There's visual content ideas here as well. You could create a short video acting out the day in the life narrative. Turn it into TikTok or Instagram reels that show a day in your customer's life. You could use it for video ad scripts. You can supercharge with your AI here. So you could feed your entire persona into ChatGPT or Claude or Gemini or your favorite AI and ask it to create a 30-day content calendar targeting this specific avatar, right? 10 LinkedIn posts and your brand voice and tone, so on. And the AI tools can do so much more when you give them this level of detail. We're about 34% here. And here is a bit of a pro tip. So you could use the pain points section to refine your messaging, use the content consumption preferences to plan your marketing channels, and stop guessing where to show up. Use the decision-making process to improve your sales funnel. Use your SEO keywords to optimize your website. So another thought here is you can think of your avatar report as a strategic asset that you can reference for months. Bookmark it, share it with your team, and use it every time you create content or make marketing decisions. It's not a one and done kind of deliverable. This really becomes your North Star for all of your customer facing communications for this particular avatar. So the avatar should be coming up here in the next 2 to 3 minutes. So I'm going to actually pause the screen here and I'll start again once it comes up. Zoom, here we go. All right, so the avatar blueprint is ready. So here it has my details here that I put in, and then it's got the details. So you can download the report here and share results. So I can download this. You'll see it here in a moment. All right, it stops there because I figured it'd be a lot easier to just show you the final. This is what that particular generation did. So here's the customer analysis. So we have demographics and psychographics, and I'm not going to read all of this because we're running out of time. What I was going to do was just, so Maya Patel, she's 41. A 41-year-old founder of CEO of Thrive Wellness Coaching, a boutique health and wellness coaching practice she started 6 years ago that has grown to include 3 additional coaches and a part-time administrative assistant. So it gets into some of the details. Here's the market maturity. She's in stage 3. And she is at the solution aware stage. Okay, this decision-making process. How does she consume her content? Here's keywords and content strategy. Here are the hooks, pain points and challenges, goals and motivations, messaging recommendations. So these are some templates that you can use. And then I'm going to just kind of breeze through some of the day in the life. So Maya's alarm goes off at 6:15 and she immediately reaches for her phone. Not ideal, she knows, but she wants to check in. She wants to check if any urgent client messages came in overnight. Scrolling through her inbox, she sees the usual mix: 3 client questions that will require thoughtful, personalized responses, a notification that her scheduling software glitched again and double booked her for an appointment tomorrow afternoon, and 2 inquiries from potential clients asking about her programs, and a reminder that an Instagram content calendar is empty for the week ahead. And her day kind of goes on from there. I'm going to just skip down to the end here. By 9 p.m., kid's in bed. She's back at her computer finishing that newsletter, but her brain is fuzzy and the writing feels flat. She finds herself thinking there has to be a better way. She's seen other coaches in mastermind groups talking about AI tools, automation, systems that give them their lives back. She opens up a new tab and types AI for small business owners into Google and then stares at the overwhelming number of results. Which tools? Where to start? What if she invests time learning something that doesn't actually help? What if it makes her business feel less personal, the very thing that clients hire her for? She bookmarks a few articles to read later, closes her laptop, and with a sigh, makes a mental note to ask her mastermind group for recommendations. Tomorrow she'll figure it out. Tonight she needs sleep. As she's drifting off, she thinks about the 3 potential clients she had to tell, I'm at capacity right now. Revenue she's leaving on the table, impact she's not making, simply because she can't operationally handle more. Something has to change, and she knows it. The question is, how to change without losing what makes her business special. So I want you guys to see that there's a lot of detail that goes into these. And I love how, oops, we're going to go forward a couple of screens here. I love personally the detail that goes in there. You really can, I can see Maya in my head, and you can kind of relate to what she's got going on there. Okay, so um, let me break down what you're going to be getting. So, the app is $97 for each avatar that's generated. You're going to get that comprehensive 10-section customer analysis, the Schwartz stuff, everything delivered in a PDF like you just saw. And I'm offering this insider pricing to the Learning Tube as a thank you to this community. Now, it's going to be available through January at $97, but come February 1st, it's going to be moved up to $147. So if you know you want this, and honestly, if you're doing any kind of marketing, you should think about it. Lock in this insider pricing while you can. Okay. So, there's a few other things that I'm looking for here because I want to be really transparent. As I said, this app is at the MVP stage, right? It's a minimum viable product, and what I'm hoping to get from you all is, you guys have been amazingly supportive of my journey from the very beginning, and you engaged. You guys have taught me a lot over time. Your questions keep me really wanting to continue to do better. So I'm looking for genuine feedback to help make the app better. Also help make this presentation better. We'll get to that one in a second. I have tested this extensively and it works, but this will be the first time that it's going to be used by multiple people, potentially simultaneously. And I want to know what your experience is like. If you have any problems at all, definitely get in touch with me. But I also want to collect some success stories. If you use this, if and when you use this, and you implement these personas in your marketing and you start seeing some better results, maybe better engagement or better conversions, I'd love to hear about it. And I'd love your honest feedback for your experience using the app because I know it's probably going to need some improvements. The one thing that I noticed when I ran it yesterday for this test is that I still have one more place that I need to update the name. It still says, I think, Customer Avatar Blueprint in the email that comes in, but the email will come from AI Edge Consulting, so I'll get that cleaned up. So again, I'm looking for before and after conversion stats once you implement any of these recommendations. And if you use things that are recommended, the keywords, templates, I'd love to hear about it. Okay, so you guys get insider pricing. I hope to gain some validation and social proof, and I figure that's kind of a win-win. All right, we're coming up on the top of the hour. So, Daydrian, thank you for dropping the website in there. I did build this on Lovable, and Make.com is the back end. The whole thing is integrated with Supabase for the data storage, and it's got a solid tech stack. I just hope that it works at scale. The only other thing I think that I would say is if you do have any hiccups, for whatever reason, maybe your avatar doesn't come, just hit me on LinkedIn or send me an email. I will make sure that you get it. So I will make sure that everything goes through one way or the other. Okay. I think oops, I went one too far. All right, so we're in the final stretch here, and I really appreciate you guys hanging in with me here. So step one, you can go visit the aiedgeconsult.com/persona, answer the questions about your business, get your avatar delivered pretty instantly, and you have that insider pricing. And I think that's pretty much it. So we'll go to Q&A here in a moment. What I would love is if you guys can take maybe 2 or 3 minutes. If you don't have time to do it now, it's not a problem, but I would love to get your feedback on today's presentation. Here is the talk.lead. Or talk.link. When you go to this link, it's going to ask you for a code. The code is persona. Okay. And once you put that in, it'll ask you maybe half a dozen questions and, get your feedback on everything here. So I'm pretty active on LinkedIn, so you can hit me there as well. Daydrian's got my details there. And I am happy to take any questions you guys have. If you want to unmute, we'll go from there.
All right, Michelle, I see Tuesday has her hand up. So go ahead and unmute Tuesday.
Not working?
Thank you so much.
But there you go.
Yeah, how you doing, Michelle? Awesome, awesome. And the feedback in the chat too about your presentation's tone and everything, I concur with it. And
Thank you.
I just want to say this right here is just again spot on, great. I'm definitely going to move forward and this, and utilize it and give the feedback that you asked. One question I just wanted clarity on when it comes to the persona. When you had the price, you said per persona. So if I had one, two clients, that mean each person, each time is at $97 per, correct? For output.
Yes, that
Okay.
is correct
And
right
the
now.
reason why thank you. Thank you for the clarity. Therefore, prior to, I need to know, I'll follow up and question, how to engage. So I know I'm putting in the right, well, you say answer the questions. So I know what to get from them to get the feedback when I'm using it as as a business, as giving information to a client.
Yeah, 100%. So I forgot to tell you that in the AI resources that you're going to get when you finish giving your feedback, there's
Mm.
kind of a prep work for
Okay.
persona things to think about. So it goes into a few different aspects there. You can certainly work with any AI tool on some of this as well to help you kind of get that
Okay.
succinct thing. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you for the clarity, Michelle. Awesome job as usual.
Fantastic. Thank you. Okay, Renee, I see your hands up as well.
Go ahead and unmute Renee.
Oh, you're still muted.
I pushed the
There you go.
door.
Okay, sorry. Okay, my question, it might be the same, but to understand, I have a app that I'm getting ready to start promoting, and it is called an ecosystem that addresses three different situations of it's not a period app. It's an app that talks about the period, then the menopause, and then Black women and mortality rates with their babies. So we're making sure that they get the information, all of that, so they can have that when they talk to their doctors. So that is three different segments. So when I create my personas, I would have to create it for three different segments, correct? It's not for the whole ecosystem.
I would say the safest way to do that is yes, to do them one at a time because you can certainly give it a shot and see how it goes, but it's probably going to be mixing and matching some things.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I know money can be tight as well for all of us. And what you may want to think about doing if budget is something that's a concern, pick the avatar that you think is going to be the most prominent. And then when you get that avatar, maybe share that with your AI and say, now I have these two different segments. These are some of the things. I mean, it's a little bit more complicated, but yeah, you would probably want to do three different avatars. And as how like you think through everything through when you're building something and you're doing this. And I'm thinking, there should maybe be a little bit of a discount of people who are doing multiples. So it's going to
Because
build
weren't
up a
you
list.
speaking about the 6 different personas with the OBGYN doctor?
Yeah,
So you had to do, so if she were to be here, she would be doing, for 6 different personas in her for
exactly
you and
right.
I. Okay,
I,
understood.
I went through all 10 steps manually for all
Okay.
6 of those. It was a freaking whole day. It would felt like forever. And I was like, okay, this is the last time I'm going to do this multiple for a client because it's a lot of work. Yeah, even though AI is doing the heavy lifting. So, okay, we are at the top of the hour. If you guys have some additional questions, I know these channels are used for multiple meetings. Please get in touch with me on LinkedIn. I'm usually around in a lot of these groups as well. So hit me up. Let me know how your experience was and how I can help. And I look forward to hearing from you guys. And thank you so, so much for hanging in with me today. I know this was a lot, and I really appreciate all the feedback.
All right. Thank you so much, Michelle. Great presentation, great app. Wishing you all the best with it. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. And remember, the replay for this session will be sent via email within 24 hours. So see you on the next one. Bye.
Thanks, everybody. Bye.